What if tomorrow you woke up and everything you built was gone? Not just a bad day, but everything, your savings, your investments, your retirement plan, all of it, wiped out. Overnight, you've gone from comfort and control to chaos and loss. No home, no warmth, no clear path forward. What would you do? Could you stand back up, or would the weight of it all be too much? In 300 BC, in the city of Cyprus, a wealthy trader named Zeno faced this exact nightmare. A shipwreck stole everything he owned. In a blink, he went from riches to rags, from respected merchant to man with nothing. But instead of breaking, he turned inward. He studied the words of Socrates and others before him. From that disaster, Zeno gave birth to a new way of thinking. What we now call Stoicism, that was over 2,000 years ago. And yet its message still echoes. We don't control the world, but we do control how we meet it. Let's be honest, life often feels like a battle for control. We make goals, resolutions, promises to ourselves every new year. Eat better, move more, call home, be better, do more, but life has other plans. A breakup blindsides us, we lose a job, the car breaks down, or a global pandemic sweeps through our lives. Suddenly, what we thought we could manage slips through our fingers. Stoicism doesn't tell us to ignore pain. It teaches us to expect it. Imagine you walk outside and it's pouring rain. Annoying. Yes, but are you surprised? Probably not. Because you know rain comes with life. Now imagine treating heartbreak, failure, and disappointment the same way. Not as cruel punishments, but as part of the weather of life. This shift changes everything. Doesn't mean we stop trying, but we stop depending on outcomes. We train ourselves to stay steady, even in the storm. The ancient Stoics practiced something called voluntary discomfort. Zeno wore rough clothes, ate bland food, not for suffering, but to remind himself, I can handle less. Today that might mean cold showers, logging off social media, sitting in silence. Little reminders that comfort is a bonus, not a requirement. And when disaster hits, you don't fall apart. You've trained for this. Zeno wasn't the only one. Epictetus, born into slavery, found freedom in his own mind. Seneca, forced to take his own life by an emperor, died calmly. And Marcus Aurelius, ruler of Rome, faced plagues, invasions, betrayals, and led with reason, not rage. These weren't perfect men, but they were grounded. When others panicked, they stayed still. They lived by 4 virtues: wisdom, courage, temperance, justice. Wisdom means knowing what's yours to manage and what isn't. Courage means showing up when it's hard. Temperance means holding back when it's tempting to indulge. Justice means choosing what's right even when it hurts. Above all, they believed this. You can't control life, you can control yourself. That's the core, the Stoic way. It's not about being emotionless. It's about responding with clarity. When the world feels out of control, Stoicism reminds us the chaos is out there, but peace is in here. So if tomorrow comes and everything falls apart, you won't, you'll walk forward. With less but stronger than ever. Most people try to avoid struggle, avoid conflict. But what if that struggle was actually meant to shape us? What if it's there to build our character, not break it? Stoicism teaches something difficult but powerful. Accept your fate. Not just tolerate it, embrace it. We like to think we have control over our lives, and we do, but only over our inner world. The outside world? That's out of our hands. The Stoics believed that greatness comes from this acceptance. No matter what life hands you, meet it with open arms. Even if it's painful, even if it's not what you hoped for. This mindset doesn't just help you live better, it helps you die without regrets. This is where the idea of Memento Mori comes in. Remember, you will die. Not in a dark, depressing way, but in a way that lights a fire. If you knew you had one day left, what would you change? What would really matter? Marcus Aurelius understood this. Despite leading one of the most powerful empires in history, he never let his position blind him to life's fragility. He used that awareness to lead with wisdom, not ego. And that's the thing. Though they lived centuries ago, Stoics wrestled with the same core problems we do now. The pressure to succeed, to own more, to keep chasing happiness around the next corner. But what if we stopped? What if we stopped tying our worth to things we can't control, money, attention, status, and started improving who we are for ourselves? Because when you pin your joy to something external, you hand over your peace to chance. New relationship, big purchase, a dream home, these things are fine, but they won't save you from the discomfort inside. And when they break down, and they often do, you're left feeling empty. Instead, try needing less. Try doing more with what you already have. That's the space where meaning lives, not in likes or followers, not in a bigger paycheck. Stoicism reminds us, real value is in the effort, in the work, in the intention behind the action. When you stop trying to control what you can't, something beautiful happens. You find peace. You start to trust the flow of your life. Even the richest people like Warren Buffett learned this. Despite billions in wealth, he lives simply. Because wealth doesn't control him. He controls his response to it. That's what Stoicism is about. Not becoming emotionless, but becoming grounded, unshaken. Take risks when it's right, but don't. Let the outcome define you. Reframe failure. Let it teach you, not scare you. And as you pursue your goals, stay focused on the process, not just the result. Be present. Every moment is part of the story. Stoicism teaches us to be wise, to see the gap between what happens and how we respond, to be courageous, to step forward when it's hard, to be temperate, to pause before giving in to impulse, and to do the right thing even when no one's watching. Justice also reminds us to give back. When you succeed, lift someone else. Don't hoard it. Share the lesson. That's how we grow. Together. Yes, money matters. But the desire to be rich for the sake of being rich, that's a trap. Because freedom doesn't come from money. It comes from letting go of what you can't control. That's the quiet truth at the heart of Stoicism. Still, it's not perfect. Taking Stoicism too far can lead to detachment. If you shut out every emotion, you risk missing what it means to feel alive. Anger, sadness, even frustration, sometimes they have something to teach us. They push us to grow, to act. If you're always calm, always indifferent, you might miss the full depth of life. So use Stoicism, but use it with balance. At its best, it helps us respond with intention. It helps us live better, not by denying emotion, but by understanding it. And when you begin to focus inward, on who you're becoming, not just what you're getting, that shift in mindset can change everything. One small change today can ripple through the rest of your life. Because in the end, Stoicism isn't about suppressing who you are. It's about finding the version of yourself that can withstand anything and still stay true. And maybe that's the real freedom we've been looking for all along. There's a quiet power in the idea that we are here not to harm each other, but to help one another. That none of us were made to live just for ourselves. Nelson Mandela knew this well. He spent 27 long years behind prison walls for fighting against apartheid. When he was finally freed and elected president, many expected revenge, a reckoning. But that's not what happened. Mandela didn't seek punishment. He sought peace. He called on his people not to retaliate, but to rebuild, to let go of the past and focus on healing the present. This mindset wasn't born from politics or strategy. It was shaped by philosophy. While in prison, Mandela studied the writings of Marcus Aurelius. From the ancient emperor, he learned the quiet strength of Stoicism, and he lived it. Modern therapy still uses these ancient ideas. Rational emotive behavioral therapy teaches us to question our thoughts, to see if our pain really makes sense. If it doesn't, we can let it go. Logotherapy, another form of therapy, reminds us that purpose gives life meaning, even in suffering. But these lessons aren't easy. Changing how we think takes time. It takes practice. Still, the promise is worth it. When we learn to value what we can control and stop worrying about what we can't, we create space for calm, for clarity, for joy. Stoicism helps us face the storms of life without losing ourselves in the waves. And if the storm wins, if we go under, we can still rest knowing we lived with integrity, because everything has an end. In the year 165 CE, something terrifying swept through the Roman Empire, a deadly plague that would kill nearly 18 million people. It could have shattered everything. But under Emperor Marcus Aurelius, Rome endured. Despite war, disease, and financial collapse, the empire held strong, not because the times were easy, but because Aurelius led with calm and purpose. He was a philosopher before he was a ruler. While others in power surrounded themselves with flatterers, Marcus gathered experts. He listened to reason. He sold off royal possessions to fund recovery. When others panicked, he stayed grounded. Even when betrayed by a close friend who tried to steal his throne, Marcus didn't rage. He paused. He gave the man a chance to come back peacefully. And when that failed, he still asked for his life to be spared. That's Stoicism in action. Marcus believed that power didn't excuse emotion. If anything, it required restraint. And in his quiet reflections, his journal we now know as Meditations, he captured what it means to live with wisdom and courage. Even today his words still resonate. The mind shapes how we see the world. Our perception, how we frame what happens, becomes our reality. We can't control everything around us, but we can control how we respond. When your car won't start, or your promotion goes to someone else, you have a choice. You can give in to frustration, or you can breathe, stay steady and move forward. Marcus faced invasions, loss, betrayal, but he never let outside chaos control his inner world. That's what made him strong. There's another lesson from Stoicism. Revenge changes nothing. When someone hurts us, the instinct is to hurt them back, but that only adds more pain to the world. Forgiveness is harder, but it's also braver. Marcus understood this. When faced with betrayal, he chose compassion. He didn't let someone else's actions change who he was, because real strength lies in staying true to your values, not mirroring someone else's mistakes. The Stoics believed every obstacle holds meaning. To them, struggles weren't setbacks. They were raw material for growth. Each difficulty could shape you into something better, stronger, wiser. That's the idea behind the obstacle is the way. You don't need to run from pain. You meet it, learn from it, and use it. Another core belief: accept what fate gives you and love it fully. It's not about giving up. It's about embracing your life as it is, rather than constantly wishing it were different. Seneca accepted his death with grace. Epictetus lived with a broken body, but not a broken spirit. Marcus reflected often on the shortness of life, not to feel afraid, but to feel grateful. They didn't fight reality. They worked with it, because once you accept death, every moment becomes a gift. Throughout his life, Marcus Aurelius held on to one simple truth: we control so little. But we always control our thoughts, our actions, and how we treat others. He didn't chase praise, he didn't cling to power. He let go of what he couldn't keep and lived with quiet dignity. And so can we, if we learn to see clearly, to respond with calm, to accept others, face hardship, and embrace our fate. Then maybe, just maybe, we can live a life as meaningful as the philosopher king.